Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone joining us for today's discussion by the South Sudanese Intellectuals Women Forum. Our topic today is parenting in the diaspora, challenges and opportunities. My name is Dora Poniloro. I'm a social worker based in Bergen, Norway. I'm glad to be moderating today's discussion, given especially the fact that I'm a mother, a parent, and who is parenting in Norway, a totally different context than the context I have grown up in South Sudan. And as a professional social worker, I also meet parents and counsel some parents in their role as parents in the context of Norway. With me today is a panel of parents, not only parents, but also professionals in different fields, both male and female, who are going to give us their perspectives into this topic and their insights and experiences from working with parents from diverse backgrounds. But before I present them to you, I want to congratulate Aisha Anihiri, the founder of the South Sudanese Intellectuals Forum, on winning the prestigious International Every Girl Wins Award and being also this year's recipient of the Caroline Opinde Guiding Light Awards. Congratulations so much, Aisha. We are so proud of you and all that you do for the South Sudanese community and especially the South Sudanese women. So thank you. Yeah, I'll go ahead and present to you our panelists today. I'll start with Dr. Akwat Akol Didut. Dr. Cole is a medical graduate from the Lady Hadinga Medical College in New Delhi, India. She's currently residing in Texas, US. She's married and she's a mother of 4 beautiful teenagers. Dr. Kwat worked in a Dinka South Sudanese, as a Dinka South Sudanese Arabic interpreter with IOM in Cairo and in also with refugees and immigrants in the U.S., Canada, and currently with as the human rights lawyers with victims of the South Sudanese Sudan genocide cases. Dr. Kwat worked as a caseworker and health specialist with International Rescue Committee with refugees from North Africa and East Africa for 6 years in Dallas, Texas. And where she has also been awarded the Salo Foundation and Distinguished Humanitarian Service Award. You're welcome, Dr. Akwat. The next one out is John Ladu Patrick. John Patrick Ladu. John is a parent to 3 boys. He is educated as a social worker from Tanzania and Norway. He dedicated most of his career life working with refugees and children in both Norway and Tanzania. Currently, he's the manager of a reception center for refugees in Trondheim, Norway. You're welcome, John Lado. The next one out is Michelina Peter. Mccalena is the founder of a nonprofit organization called Empowerment Through Education Foundation, formerly known as Community of South Sudanese and American Women. She has been instrumental in helping resettle young women from South Sudan to the United States and empowering them through education. Michelina attended the University of Colorado in Boulder, where she graduated with a master's degree in educational foundation, policy, and praxis. She is the recipient of the Channel 7 Everyday Hero Award, the Community Service Award for Women and Gender Empowerment. She works as an intake caseworker and family and children services, investigating child protection cases. And today she'll give us an insight into that. She's also working with a scholarship program in Uganda for 50 South Sudanese refugee girls in boarding schools from primary to secondary level, and also for South Sudanese girls, effort to build a school for children and especially girls in Turid, South Sudan. So you are welcome, Ms. Michelina Peter. The next one out is Dominic Akwa. Dominic studied geology at the University of Juba. He was admitted into the Vrije University van Amsterdam in the Netherlands, where he studied masters in geology and geochemistry. Dominic worked as a teacher of chemistry in Juba Days Senior Secondary School and is currently working as a geoscientist with Energy Bearers Manager in the Netherlands Oil National Company. Dominic is a father of 2 children. You're welcome, Dominic. Uh, the last person out is Rose Carroll. Rose is a social activist, community leader, diversity consultant, and founder of Diverse Connections, providing cross-cultural information and support to leaders and underrepresented communities in Australia. She's passionate about diversity, equity, and equality with a particular interest on gender and culture. Rose has served in various roles within the government and nonprofit organizations, including providing support to multicultural policy review and engagement strategies, and implementing, as well as helping refugees and migrants settle in Australia. In her spare time, Rose volunteers as a community advocate and leading various programs in African community in Australia. You're welcome, Rose, and we're so glad that you're bringing all the experiences into this topic today. So thank you so much. Yes, I'll go on with the introduction of this topic. According to Nikki, Sila, and Lee, parenting is a higher calling than the pursuit of our own happiness. It carries a big cost, worry, and for some, the terrible pain of losing a child. But it can also bring the highest rewards, like the depth of love a parent feels and the privilege of knowing that we have helped shape a life. In the second half of the 19th century, an awareness emerged in sociology that the family model prevalent in each epoch is never static, but an institution that is liable to change according to the culture, historical background and societal structure. Durkheim claims that, on the other hand, that today's family is neither more nor less perfect than the one of yesterday. It is different because the circumstances we are living in are different. And it is more complex because the environment in which families exist today is more complex, like the context of the diasporas. With an increased mobility and migration, just as we who have migrated to other countries, we see less stability in family environment, geographically, and more culturally complex societies that we live in. We see that children are growing where parents did not grow. And we see that parents are experiencing challenges in raising their children because these are contexts they're not raised up in. And as societies changes, individual childhoods also change, leading to changes also in the way we conceive or we perceive childhood as a social, political, and cultural category. So now I'll go on and get our panelists to say something about that. I'll start with you, Dr. Kwat. How would you describe your role as a parent? What values do you consider vital in the upbringing of your children? And how do you teach or have taught your children these important values?
Thank you very much, Madame Dora, Pony Laura, for giving me this opportunity. And first of all, I would like to say good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to the audience watching in different parts of the world, and to the South Sudanese Women Intellectual Group. Thank you for giving us this opportunity to come and be part of this great discussion. Aisha, congratulations for your word. Your hard work is impeccable, and we have seen the fruits of it, of the work that has been done by the South Sudanese women in South Sudan. Being a parent is not an easy task. There is no manual or a book that we follow to teach our children 100%. But I will try to share the challenges that I have gone through as a mother of 4 biological children and a mother to many of my sisters and brothers and cousins and friends, and what I have seen in the diaspora. It takes a village to raise a child, and we in the diaspora do not have the support of the elders or somebody to guide us. And as such, we are on our own and we are facing these challenges. The role that I see as a parent is very important, and each child is different. I, as a parent, I am here to provide the biological needs of the child, meaning I have to feed them, keep a roof on their head, give them a safe environment where they can nurture and also develop, protect my children from the things that are out there. We know for those of us who are living overseas, that is not easy. To teach them and to educate them between the difference of what is wrong and what is right. Guide them in the direction and assist them. Help, support, and motivate them. Discipline them whenever needed. And though it's not easy in the culture where we are. For me, I try my level best as a parent to guide them to find their faith. And the great value that I see as a parent is that it's important to have a Christian base of faith. The way I have done that is to put my children in a very good church where they can learn the Christian values. Make them attend vocational Bible schools, because through our Christian faith, there is a lot that can be imparted on them, of which the values of honesty, truth, sincerity, integrity, moral and ethical principles are important. Kindness are some of the things that we as parents would like to teach our kids. Every opportunity is a teaching moment through talking, modeling it out, and using books. I remember there was a time I was at the post office, and there was a book that showed 500 ways of showing kindness. I remember I bought that book, and every day we will try to go through what my kids could do. And even I learned from it what I can learn. Our values are great, and I'm proud to say that I'm an African parent. But with life here, it's very difficult. It's not easy to impart all those values on them. I remember one time I was dropping a friend of my daughter, and I had all these other kids in the car, and they were from African background. So when this young lady got out of the car, she just got out and walked towards their house. And I looked at my daughter and I told her, next time, if your friend ever gets into my car and does not say thank you, I'm not going to give her a ride. And then my daughter laughed, and she looked at her friends who were of African background and Irish background, but still African. And they all said, African parents. So you African parents, you are imparting those values on our kids. It's important that we teach them so that they grow to become stronger people in our community. I'll stop here and thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kwat. Yeah, I'll get to you, John Lado, to give us your insight on that.
Yeah, that was an impressive answer, a comment from Dr. Kwat that pulls out the experience. So actually, I would say you have said it all, most of the values that we all aspire to impart on our children above our integrity and honesty, and that a child should be able to show kindness, and that is the symbol in which we can be able to show love to others, or that, and among others, actually, to keep your word, honesty throughout. When you, whatever you say, do it, keep it, and we try to impart to them that they should understand that life is what you make, what effort you make. You have to keep your word and keep working. Do what you say, and that will help you in your future to be a person of integrity. Oh, as a parent, so I just go back to, say, to the beginning of the question, is that as a parent, it's not easy, as Dr. Kwat said, in the Western societies where we are now living. We assume roles that the village is not there, as you said. There is no village to raise. You're almost a parent on your own, and you have to assume a role of being a friend, a role of being a father, a parent, a role of being a playmate, a role of being a comforter. You assume so all the forms of role that will build a child to be a strong person and grow up with all the love necessary. So any role that comes, you put yourself in. And here, as in Norway, said, you have so many hats, you keep changing them. Today, you are a father. When requires a discipline, you have to pick, okay, here it is. Let me take the heart of being a father. And when it comes to the issue of comforting, okay, let me take a role of a loving parent and go into it. Or if they have a need, they don't have anyone to play with at home, they have become their playmate. So I take another form of another heart. So constantly you are in a kind of a moving structure that you have to play all this role because you are the only person who can do it. You don't have anyone around you. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Anyone wants to add, Michelina?
Thank you. I would like to thank the team here and thank those panelists who spoke earlier. And I also just wanted to make a disclaimer that my participation today here, I'm not representing anybody. I'm not representing my work, and I'm not representing the community as a whole. I'm speaking on my own behalf and the experiences I acquired through the years of going through parental kind of situations. So I wanted to say I'm a very proud African parent. I have to wear many hats to do things to my kids at different time, like my brother Ladu, John Ladu said. So I have to provide a loving and stable home environment for my kids, take care of my kids' physical and emotional needs. I have to protect them from any harm. I have to be the first teacher, a playmate, a chef, a driver, a cleaner, a caregiver
Yes.
that must provide the basic needs for my kids. I have to keep them safe and healthy. I have to be their dear, affectionate friend, provide guidance, and educate them. And above all, I have to be a role model, a mother that they can count on 24/7. And because there is no one way that fits parental guidance, I have to forge. I've never been a parent before. So it's an experience that I have to go through with patience, with love, with kindness. I have to show them, and I have to talk to them all the time. All the time. I'm very lucky because I have my mom here who is always watching my back as I'm watching my kids. And their dad is a very loving dad. He's also there. So these are all the things that really requires a parent to be. And of course, not only my two biological kids, I have extended kids. I have nieces and nephews that are orphans, and I have to extend that loving environment to them. Though most of them are outside this country, but still I have to try my best and double the efforts to extend to all of them. So being a parent is a rewarding thing, is a very beautiful thing. It's also very challenging. I have to have faith to be able to do this. Without faith and patience, I cannot do it. I'll stop here and give the chance to others.
Thank you so much, Michelina. That was really insightful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dominic, your insights, please.
Yeah, thank you so very much, the moderator. Let me also thank you for giving me this invitation. I hope I'm audible because I still don't trust this guy thing. Good. Let me thank you for extending this invitation to me, and it's always good to be part and parcel of your forum, discussing this important issue. And I would like to congratulate the lady in question that was being awarded. That shows to us that work do always pay, and a good work will always pay back. I always hear an echo, I don't know. Yeah, the question. I mean, the question in that has been stated is very tricky. Tricky in the sense that some people have already talked some good insights in it, and what I will try to do is to add my experience. I'm not a social worker, like you know, I'm a geologist, but I use my role as a father, and to add to it is that you are a single father. Normally it is actually people talk of single moms, but now I'm a single dad in the wilderness of Europe. Trying to raise two beautiful kids. And in this juncture, I'd like to thank my sister because she took a role that was not harsh, and she raised to me these boys until such a point in time where I can communicate with them, as young people. And having said that, I try to use all what I have endured when I was growing up, what my moms, my uncles, used to teach me, the values. And I could remember one day my mother was telling me, you people, you ended up don't having 1, 2, and 3, and you're broken the government of South Sudan. But I told her that you people told us not to steal those days. Otherwise I would have been a different person. And I want to thank our teachers, the likes of Mama Tabita and Mama Naomi, all these mamas of our time. They imparted on us, values that I try to give it to my kids, minus beating, because this is something that I also learned over the years that it is not a good thing. So I try to talk to them, and I try to correct them. I try to cook to them. Sometimes the salt will be too much, sometimes the oil will be too much, but at the end of the day, as men, we ended up eating it. And a lot of things. I take them to the swimming. I take them to the, I just wanted to give them the things that will make them strive when they are getting to the world, because the world is not a fair place. And sometimes I get mad when I heard of them being bullied. And I always tell to them, they say, don't accept somebody to bully you, because bullying is not a very good thing. There are certain values. As African, I used to keep and tell my children so that they know where they're coming from. Because no matter what happened, you will never be a Dutch person. So as you will never be a Norwegian, you will never be an American. You will still be that person that comes from that, African context. And I teach them how to be human and tell them that the only thing that you're going to inherit is actually the name of your father. So you have to respect people. You have to respect your elderly brother. And I try also to do what my uncles used to ask us those days. What do you want to be in the future? Because if you know what you wanted to be in the future, you'll follow your passion. And I always tell them that, look at your brothers. Ask your brother in case you don't know. Because what I have to come and learn over the years is that the children here, until the time they're going to secondary, they don't know what they wanted to do in the future. And that in and of itself is a tragedy. I don't want my child to go through these things. The fact that I became a geologist is because one of my cousins have inspired me to be a geologist. He told me that there's petroleum in Lafon. So out of that enthusiastic thing, I became a geologist. So they have their cousins. I try to link them with their cousins. And I will call my sister sometimes in case they are sick. That is something that I've never experienced before. And I have to deal with it. But whatever I have also learned over the years is the patience. I have to tell them that patient. And of course, my mother told me that the only thing that you can be able to not to part ways to prayer. Continue to pray with the kids, and I teach them how to pray, even if they can read the Bible, not read the Bible. And I teach them they can now read the Bible, and we interpret it among ourselves, and trying to do their best. So I try to be a good father. I may not be a perfect father, but I try to be a very good father that will give a hope and a future to my child or to my children, so that at least they can also do better than their best. Thank you, and I rest my argument here. Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much, Dominic. Those are beautiful values you're passing on to your children. Rose, now let's hear from you. You're on mute. Please unmute yourself.
I said lucky last. Thank you, Dora, plus the team at South Sudanese women intellectuals and my colleagues here at the panels, and congratulations, Aisha. So thank you so much. I'm honored to be here, and it's such a privilege because this topic is kind of very sensitive and also very close to my heart, especially for me as a South Sudanese mother in Australia. And you guys have seen on the media and know what's going on, especially I think I'm based in Brisbane, Queensland. So kind of like it's a new situation for us that we are dealing with young people's issues and many other things. So with that, I just want to say that, I'm a very proud mother of 3 boys, and 2 are in their 20s, and the younger one is 16. So, and a lot of people say, oh, you are done, you are doing well. But I always tell people that as a parent, you never rest, you never end in talking, disciplining, and doing a lot of things to your kids. After your kids, there will be grandkids and so on. So that's that. So Parenting, Dr. Akwa stole what I was going to say. but yeah, I put here, parenting, they say parenting doesn't come with a manual. And that is really true. And parenting is a very broad topic. It varies from place to place, time to time, and also from person to person and environment and so on. So also the meaning and understanding differs, and also it's also based on resources and opportunities. Like some parents will be able to parent their kids well, and some cannot because of lack of resources or opportunities and so on. So for me personally, I think parenting is it's being responsible, caring, understanding, and learning about your children's needs, interests, as well as opportunities. And moving to Australia, I have been introduced to a new style of parenting, which has shocked me upside down. Like, I was raised, I and my sister and my cousins, girls, we were in a girls' environment. So, raising boys has been completely different things. And I didn't understand before, like, people here in Australia, like when I tell them I have 3 boys, they will be like, oh my God, you are so strong, you are so resilient. They were young and I was like, what are they talking about? What are they talking about? But I didn't know I was new and stuff. So, and matter of fact, like my 2 boys, their difference was 1 year. So they were like twins and stuff. They are very athletic, energetic, and smart, and so on. Everything with boys, the good and the bad. So I just want to say that, like, going back, with time and engaging with Australians, I have taken the best from their teaching style or from their way of parenting, plus my own cultural values that have been ingrained in me by my mom, my uncles, my aunties, and so on, which I am really very, very, very grateful for, because there are a lot of things that I have seen that many of the parents, just to compare, really like. And some of the values that I came with was like the love of the traditions, our traditional food, our stories, our music, even community and stuff, because a lot of people disengage, and many other things. And also leadership. Dominic mentioned those of Mama Tabita. My mom was one of the teachers back home, and that really instilled in me no way other than to be a leader, to be independent, and also to serve and do many other things. And with that, I think that is what I have tried, like to give to my boys. And mind you, after some time, I found myself raising them single-handedly. And that has been really the most difficult time of my life, where sometimes I will just close myself in a room and cry, because boys fight all the time. Their needs are quite laughing. And I didn't like, and sometimes I would just look at them and let them fight. They'll be like, Mom, say. I'm like, yeah, you guys kill yourself, I'm tired. So these are some of the things. But in other ways also, I have learned a lot from them, that, I have learned patience. The kids teach you a lot of things. I have even become so disciplined that sometimes, like, with some of our values, like, being educated to adds a lot to it, that, you read here, you read there, and also you try to analyze things by yourself, and developing that effective communication and listening. This is what really I came to realize. I thought I was doing a great job. Believe me, don't ever think that you are doing the best, because they have a different opinion. Like now my boys are grown up. They tell me things that even I'm really surprised. I'm like, oh my God. Then I explain to them. Like every time we are in conversation and we are teaching each other, because I think with life in diaspora, you become so busy, you do everyday work, and then you take them to the activities. Like my boys are very athletic. They have been there in basketball up to now. So it's my role. I am not a sporty person. I hate sports. Even back home in school, I just dress up sporty and go and cheer other people. But I came to learn here, with the sports and other challenges that, I went and encountered, like of racism, and I become a counselor, I become many things. And with things at school, I have to step up. Like, I even volunteer because I love volunteering. Not just in my South Sudanese community or the African community also, but also in their school. So it was like, if there is PNF, I am a member there. If there is a festival or something at school, we share our tradition. That is, we try to make the kids to dance, showcase our traditional dances, even just, put just music from YouTube. Or we cook food, like I will gather some of the mothers, and then we do like fundraise. We do it from our own, so it's fundraise for school and many other things. So yeah. Values, I think it's similar in different ways, but I think I will just put in three. What I have done here is some of the values really that we took from back home are honesty, respect, being independent, leadership, and I think communication and act of service, community service. These are some of the values that now I have ingrained in them, and I hope that everyone will be able to do that, especially the young parents or young generation. And I'm just sharing my personal opinion, guys. Please don't take me the other way wrong that, I'm coming to brag. But I just want to say that all parents should be proud of their kids, regardless of what. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rose. It's just amazing listening to all of you and the great values that you have, taken from home and are trying to impact it further on your children, not only your biological children, but the children in the community that you meet. So this is really great. And the question comes, we'll get into the question later, with all these great values, what has really gone wrong with our children? Because we hear our children being, getting into different groups, a gangs group, being arrested, being killed in different environments that are not really fruitful for them. And we see parents over and over really getting through a lot of challenges in raising children in the diaspora. And these are things that we'll get to as we go further in the discussion. But I'll go to this question on what has been the most challenging for you with all these great values that you have brought with from home, adjusting to the parenting styles in the US, in Norway, in the Netherlands, in Australia. How have you managed to raise your children in those contexts? I'll start with you, Akwat.
Thank you, Dora. And it's great to hear all the different perspectives, especially when I was listening to Dominic. I could relate because I'm raising my kids in the US now for the past 12 years. My husband works in South Sudan, and there are things I don't know how to do. And I always reach out to my male friends. So I will be reaching out to you, Mr. Dominic, to ask some experiences, especially with boys. Rose, I was laughing because I have only one son, but he's like 10 boys in my house. He is everywhere. And being a parent is not easy. The challenges we face are numerous. Adjusting to the environment is very hard. First of all, as I thought after living outside most of my life, it was going to be easy. But then I found out that time I was living under my parents' guidance, and as a student with a carefree life. And then now I am entrusted with these 4 kids who I have to bring up. And the challenges are many. Number one, adjusting to the new culture. For example, these kids, we try to impart on them at home our culture. And then they go out there and they learn the cultures from the host country that we have moved to. There is always a gap. We are always working. Life in diaspora is very stressful, and you will find the parents are working. There is really no time. Most of the people who are teaching our kids, they are getting most of their teaching in school because they go for almost 8 hours. By the time they come home, you come home tired, then you try to prepare the meal. You are sitting maybe for just a short time, then boom, it's time to sleep. Technology has taken over. It's a challenge for us. Even we parents, we have met in so many platforms. Technology is taking also our time. I know Facebook is taking us. Clubhouse is taking a lot of our time. So we need to spend some quality time with our kids. It's a challenge. We don't speak the same language like our kids. Our kids, they don't understand us, and we don't understand what they go through. Most of the kids here, they think we are too strict. We are trying to impose on them the cultures that we had. And sometimes they tell me, Mama, that was then. But now and here, it is completely different, which is true, because the environment where they grow through is completely different. Our kids, they suffer from colorism. They suffer from racism, even in their schools. And when I talk about colorism, it's just somebody who is of a lighter skin who will come and bully my child because my child is of a darker skin. Challenges are many. We mostly work entry-level jobs. We, the migrants, and our children are trying to live according to the standard. And kids can be cruel. When some of the children wear shoes, for example, from Walmart, the other kids will look at them and say, what are those? Because they want to wear Air Jordan. They want to wear all the very expensive stuff. And when I heard that story, I remember I told my kids, don't ever do that, because we have come from humble beginnings. We have to remember it's not what you wear. And I will say this with great honesty. There's a photograph that was posted in South Sudanese women group of a young man who graduated, and he was wearing slippers. I tip my head out to them. Whether you wear Air Jordan and you wear slippers and you graduate, you are of more quality, personality. It shows your determination to be somebody. Being a parent is not easy. It's tough, as we all live out here. And fitting in the school is different. Child Protective Services, I will leave it for my sister to talk about it. But I will share with you a small story, because we don't know the laws. We don't know the policies. Sometimes it fails us. One day I was interpreting for a family, 3 families, and you would not believe that these 3 families had their children taken away from them because they did not understand the policies. By the time I was done with the call, I was crying. And I immediately called Bishop Michelina, who is our bishop here. And I told him, Bishop, we need to pray. We need to pray hard, because we do not understand this culture. And sometimes, even when I am interpreting, the parents would fight with the CPS person. And sometimes our calls are recorded. And I cannot tell them that, please, what you're doing is wrong. So sometimes I will just tell you that you have been asked just only this question. And then they will understand it indirectly. But I cannot really help. So we need the community to do the orientation to help us so that we can understand the culture where we are. Our community has failed us. Our churches have failed us because we have become so divided. I will stop here and let somebody take over. Thank you.
That was profound, Dr. Akwat. Yeah, I'll let John Ladu come with his insight and then go. You're muted, John. Sorry.
Still mute. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Akwat. This is quite touching to hear the realities that we are facing in the diaspora. However much you will collide, but they are tough. And I suppose people who sit home and listen to this should understand that adjusting for us in a Western society with different, not only culture, but well-regulated society with new policies, rules, regulations that are so many that not everyone is able to set himself into it to understand it. So that makes it very complicated for a parent. One thing you know that you have to feed your children, you have to give all the necessary material needs, but that are required. But there are certain technicalities that lies between issues, rights of children and things like that. You might not be able to understand it. And therefore, you might end up falling victim of accusation of being a neglecting parent. So these things, they happen. For me, personally, say, settling in, maybe I was a bit lucky or unlucky that I settled in, came alone, didn't have children yet. And so the children were born here. And despite raising them here, as small kids from kindergarten level, you start noticing that they really have challenges, despite they are born here, but yet they see themselves different. And they are handled in a different way. And I realized at a certain point that they are developing a complex whereby they feel they are not good enough or something is missing. And I took time always talking with them, try to boost up them, try to show them the fact that they are as good as anybody else. They are human beings. They have same blood. Wherever you see anybody else, you cut, what comes out is blood red and it's the same. And as that was not enough, but then I thought the best way is to develop a connection, a sense of majority, that they should feel once a sense of majority, because being a minority create that complex that my opinion, or myself as a person means nothing or means little. So I began with traveling home, taking them home up to the village, get them to see how we live, how many Black people are there, getting them into a crowd, let them see the feast, the party, all this. And to be honest, when I took my first son, the difference from a kind of a kid who was very shy, timid, he came back as an expert of Africa. No one in the classroom would say anything about Africa without him correcting even the teacher. A sense of pride, of feeling that I mean something. I am also somebody. It doesn't matter I was just in the wrong place, but I am also somebody, and I feel I came from where the majority is. And you just see that when you get them to feel the sense of majority, like at the early age of 5, my son I took, we dropped at Kampala, went into the commercial district, and you can see the crowd, the population, you go there, and he just will keep on running between the crowd and feeling like want to bathe himself in the people of his same color. And I realized that is doing something with him. And when home South Sudan, we went up to the village, to all the areas, stayed in Juba, we came back, and it was just like a new injection to a child. Changes the whole mentality, the same way of thinking. And he realized that, yeah, well, I belong somewhere. I'm nobody. I'm not a very someone insignificant. And that I keep on doing it. And every opportunity I get, I have to expose them again and again. And that boost gives them the boost that I am not less. And they grow up now with a sense of confidence that they don't mean anything. They are not a minority. They belong somewhere. They are in majority. And that helps them. And I believe that in the long run, when they get to be teenagers, adult, and all that, they understand that sense of connection of the background. When I talk of stories of how I was raised and the humble background I had, the hard work we put in, and he sees it. He realizes it, that in the village we go and he sees meeting my grand aunt, an old lady serving us, working hard, doing things, taking care of her goats, her own chicken. It makes a lot of impression on our children. So it is when the challenges, what I'm trying to say, when the challenges are overwhelming here, sometimes taking a visit just home a little bit helps. It gives them the boost and the dose that they needed to strengthen them as individuals here. Thank you. I'll stop here.
Thank you. And just to continue a little bit, Lado, if you could just say, how do you experience your parenting role as a father in the West, in the context of Norway, compared to the South Sudanese way of parenting, as a father? And what are the benefits you say you could pick up from that,
To me, I see that parenting, I wasn't a parent in South Sudan, and therefore I was a recipient of parenting in South Sudan. And that in itself, I carry with me certain values, certain tips, certain understanding of what is good for a child. But then you come here, one thing to go to school to understand and read the regulations of the country and see the rights of the child and all this. You gather all this knowledge, you understand how this society operates with how they raise children. And therefore, you adopt. What happens is that for me, I have to adopt to the way the society treats children. But then from time to time, you meet you get a personal conflict within yourself. You realize the emphasis on materialism, which Dr. Akwa was all so much in. The emphasis on materialism in raising children gets above the values that are supposed to be imparted on the children. And therefore, constantly, when there is a need, like, for example, a child goes to kindergarten or to school and say the clothing wasn't good enough. Who defines the clothing not good enough? You have several levels of people who assess what is good enough. While at home, it is your mom, your dad who knows what is good enough for you, and that's it. But now here, a teacher, an assistant to school can come in and assess what is good enough. And therefore, you might end up having a conflict within with the people whom you are supposed to cooperate with, because your assessment of good enough is challenged sometimes. It's not like good enough as it should be. And another aspect of that is when you expect that what is good enough to you and you have done the best you can, you find that it is not reciprocated from where the school or the kindergarten. Then you realize that you're also in a situation whereby you are uncomfortable, but you have to confirm or cooperate just in order to avoid conflict. So those are the intricacies that you have to play as you cooperate, because they're experts in the process that are supposed to, you have to cooperate with, and at the same time, you have to take your role so seriously and carry whatever you have with you from the childhood, while you had been parented, that you needed to pass it over to your children. And so all the time, especially like when it comes to this issue of school parents groupings, whereby you meet, you agree together and discuss issues with other parents in order to what is best for our children. It gets very complicated sometimes because opinions does not match with what the realities of regulations in the society or rights of the children. And therefore the balance becomes so complicated, because also locals, there are many locals who do not know even the regulations, do not know even the rights sometimes of the children. They do not know the policies of the government. They never update themselves so much. But people are flare in opinions, only that you have to be careful to realize that always opinions of locals would be prized as more knowledgeable than your opinion. But then if you get good reference with regard to where you are pulling your arguments, your own positions, and it is anchored in the rules, regulations of the country, then you realize they will track back and you will be respected, and whatever opinion you are trying to put over will be accepted, especially when planning activities for children as parents within the context of school. So there are a lot of aspects which are, especially like here in Norway, it is a politically correct country, and in a sense that there are things that you don't have to say to provoke situations, and therefore, to me, as a body, there is that directness. You can put out things straightforward, and no matter what, it will be accepted and it will be accommodated for what it is. But that might be interpreted as politically incorrect in a Norwegian society. And therefore, there is that sense of all the time, okay, what do I say and how do I say it? The context has to remain the same, but the manner in which it is said has to be different, or the tone, some people say, has to be different. So I beg to stop here.
Thank you so much, Lado. I'll go to you, Dominic. Again, in regards to striking the balance, you mentioned earlier on being a single father, trying your best to raise their sons alone. How do you strike that balance between, teaching them all the good values that you have brought with, you're trying, and then meeting up to the standards, to the expectation from the Dutch society on how you should raise your children? You mentioned about, one of the things that you left out in your parenting style is beating the children. That's one thing we got at school, at home. The way we were disciplined is either sometimes you get, beaten because you haven't done things, but these are things that we kind of, discard here because it's not allowed to beat your child, but you choose other ways of doing it. Dialogue-based, conversation, which is really tiring sometimes because our children here don't just take no for a no. They have to know why you're saying a no, and you have to go through all these discussions to make them actually understand that this is what we should do or not do. How do you strike that balance?
Yeah, thank you so very much. And let me also thank the rest of the people that have talked, because honestly, you have snatched some of these things that we are supposed to be talking out of my mouth. And yes, we have been challenged, and I just wanted to add to what Akwa has just said. We've been challenged with being in the social media and having a quality time with our families, and you are invited in pretty much a number of discussions because people wanted to know your ideas on a particular issue, because in one way or another, they value you and so forth. It is not a very easy thing, and it's not a very straight answer because first of all, when I first came here, I came as a foreign student. It was not in my mind and moral that I am going to stay here. And it didn't really click until I got into problems, which I will not about. I won't talk about it. So one thing that I very quickly decided to do is to shift my mind from this Junubi way of thinking. That I came to take bicycle from Khartoum and I'm going back, you know. And they ended up staying there for 50 years. They even didn't have a house, neither did they buy a bicycle, so that they take with them back home. So I said, Dominic, please, you are in a real situation. And so what I did from the earlier, and I thank God because of the crisis that has happened. Galu Arabi bitkallam galu musibata qawmun inda qawmun fawaid. You know, after the refugees came a lot, there were instances that these people started to know our cultures. You know, the way we communicate, even skills and all this kind of stuff. So what happened is that in part of our induction, I decided to very quickly, you know, try to now learn from, you know, the people who are Junubin, the South Sudanese that have been here for quite a long time, some of the Africans, and also start to learn from the Dutch people. There were instances in which we were, you know, taken as part of the induction, so that you are told of how the society here works. So I really didn't take it very light. And good enough with the little education that we have, I can also be able to filter what is good to me and what is not good for me, because you don't have to, you know, just swallow everything. It will not even good for your body. So what I tried to learn was that this young man is an African person. You know, there's our certain values that we need to keep with ourselves, that we need to take it with ourselves. You know, so you don't have to worry it down. And sometimes I have to discuss with those folks. You know, what is it that I want for my children? Because they will want to, you know, interpret. And sometimes it is not also a straight line to some of the Dutch people who have grown outside. Because one of the in one of the ways that we were trying to talk and ask, you know, the doctor that I used to go to, you know, said that, you know, there was a friend that grew in Ghana, and one thing that they did is to give the child the normal things that they are giving to a child, you know, in order to take the attention from the child while the doctor is actually treating that child using the standards in this country. But the child was not reacting to it. And they asked, where did the child grow? And it's like, you know, the child grew in Africa. And I was, okay, I mean, it could be that these things are not there, and, you know, pretty much they are not used to this kind of stuff. So life, like I said, I learned from, you know, some of these people, and there were certain instances in which we have talked with the police, with the social workers here, and how, you know, you have to treat your children. Don't beat, for example, that is a no. And of course, the law, which what I've talked about, they have to pretty much tell us that there are certain things that is not allowed by the law. And so you don't have to do it. Once you do it, then the police will come. Okay. So these are kind of stuff that I learned. But of course, there are instances, you know, as a parent, sometimes you grow mad, so that the child will also know that there is also a lion in you. And one time my child was asking me that, why is your voice sounding angry? As though it's not angry, it's only that God created me like that. Gee. So I tried my level best, you know, to strike a balance and adjusting between, for example, what is allowable here by the law, and I live within the realms of the law. But when it comes to my world in my house, I also, you know, give my set of regulations. and we agree with them. For example, Fridays, because it's the weekend, then you have to see the TV, for example, at 9. But before that, you have to, by 8, go and sleep. That is a law. And so I always tell them that, let's cooperate. Let's do other things. I try to teach them also by example. You have to collect your clothes, of course. You have to fold it and then put it in your cabinet. When you eat something, and I always tell them that no, there's nobody who is a lady here. You don't have a sister here. All of us are men, so you have to know. I'm not going to do washing to you every time. So I'll tell them, once you have eaten, go and wash. But of course, I thank my sister. I saw her here. She was actually the one who taught them. There are certain points in which they were asked to do certain stuffs and all this kind of stuff. So the society here is very demanding and it's very challenging. And one thing that normally we do, we wanted to change the things that are here, not knowing that we came. And of course, in a population like 1 point something or 17 million, they will never change the law because of you. So there is a sense in which you have to live within the realms of their laws and follow what is good to you. Now, the other thing that is actually also very, worrisome sometimes is I find it as a challenge for a single also dad. And I know it's also the same for a single mom, especially when you're working and you have to take care of your child. You can't leave the child at home alone. You see, that is what is happening here. And so sometimes I have to strike the balance. And I really thank coronavirus, even if it is a problem to some people. Now I work from home because from the screen I can be able to cut my basala and but I must tell you that when I go to the office, when it reaches 1, I am in a total unease situation because I'm thinking of just taking the train and coming back to Amsterdam so that I can be able to come and pick them from school, because that is the law. You need to know who is coming to pick your child from the house. And one thing that over the years I did was to link with the families who are having children with my own in the school, and we exchange their WhatsApp so that I write to them, hey, I'm delaying a little bit, take care of the boys and like that. And these are some of the things that I also learned from my colleagues at work. They trying to explain to you, and this is a situation here with our people. We think we know when we don't know, And if you do, and I learned it from one of our friends, Dominic. The Dutch humor is that if you don't ask, they will never tell you. They will assume that you know. So I always ask. Even if I know, I will still ask bidini ijaba be basura actor, which is actually a good thing. So let us not assume that we all know. Let us know from these people and try to strike a balance between what we want as a people and what. But I tend to agree with my brother Lado. One thing that is also very good with the Dutch people is that they value vacancy. When it is a time for vacation, it is your right to take your vacation and you go wherever you wanted to go with your children. And when you come from there, you come refreshed. That is also a very good thing to do. So thank you very much, Ajama.
Oh, thank you, Dominic. It's such an inspiration listening to you. I hope all the other fathers there can draw some inspiration and learning some lessons from you. And I think it's really so important to kind of, okay, learn to change your mindset and think, okay, now I'm in a different context. What can I learn from the people here? How do my colleagues do it? How do the other parents do it? And it's really so helpful. And you feel that, their children also will feel kind of confident knowing that my dad also understands the society I live in, the values there, and how people do things as parents. And in regards to, as parents with the hectic life that we have here, it's not always that, you have that sweet tone as a parent. You get angry, and that's we all humans, but it's how we actually regulate ourselves. And my children here, like when I start speaking Arabic Juba and when I start speaking a little bit of Bari, then they know that I'm serious. I mean it for real. So it's really important that we are able to reflect upon these issues. And again, as you mentioned, they're telling them that there's no girl working in the family. I think you should change that for them to know that it's not only the ladies that will do the work for them, but that they are also a part of it, and folding their clothes and doing it. That's really great that you're doing it. So thank you so much, Dominic. We are running, this is a hot topic, and I know we all have a lot to talk about, but we just keep on to the time, and I hope you can be able to stay a bit more for the questions that we need to go through. So I'll go to you, Rose and Mccalena, from your experiences working with South Sudanese families. And I know, Mccalena, you said your experiences you're sharing here is not as a community member, but as your own, as a parent, as your own, not as a professional as well. But it's important that you also tell us what or how have we gone wrong as parents, our South Sudanese parents in the diaspora, in the US, in Australia, in Norway, in other European countries. Where have we gone wrong in raising our children? Please share your insights.
Thank you. This is really a hot topic. First of all, as South Sudanese, we forgot that when we came to the West, Yani Gina, with negative any money in our accounts. We came in different ways. Either you are a teacher, student, or you are a refugee, or you came and claim an asylum and all of that. And then the neighborhoods that people are placed to live in are also like really, they do play a great role into how we bring up our kids. Tanian, the way we parents feel like we want to catch up with life, forgetting our kids, that also adds more problems into what we are going through. The other thing, we have mashakil ben umara or rajil. We tend to argue in front of kids. We tend to try to take care of what we want. Can fi masalan hafla fi mahal wala iris, you go you buy gumash be $300 wala $200 wala kida. This also adds more problems into what we are going through. Our kids, they need activities. It's not just going for madrasa and come home. It's beyond that. We tend to buy cars that are way high than what we earn. انت ما بقدر عارفه لقيت عربيه $20,000 ولا $30,000 while you are earning $12-15 an hour. How are you going to pay for that car? You cannot even go and get a big house when you know very well you cannot afford to put at least 20% down payment. How are you going to take care of all of these requirements? We don't get to sit down and read and go through it. We are taken by emotions. You see your friend doing this, oh, ana kamana zamul zede. These are the things that are really, really adding more problems into what we have already came with. We don't come with any inheritance. We are here to scrap our butt out in order to provide. And then don't forget, we have extended families. They are like federal government to us. Every month you get phone calls. You need to support them there. So you ending up working 2 jobs, 3 jobs. Uma ge dakalo fi bed, abu gitala. Abu ge dakalo fi bed, uma gitala. Yal bejaya juja fi bed azu jali go akil. Lakin akil mafi. They ending up getting McDonald's, getting pizza, fast food, or hajat zeda. These are all the things that are really, really adding problems into what we are going through. The other biggest part of it, most of us, or some of us who came to the West, Andama Jina Hina, we are well educated. That education plays a bigger role into what we do. Yal, the moment they reach teenage age, they are like, okay, I am free. I have my freedom. I can do what I want to do. But they don't know that that freedom is very, very expensive. The freedom we get here is very expensive, and that's what we don't really know. Kids are like, okay, Ana Zurabara. My friends are like asking, let's go out to hang out. Let's go for sleepovers. Let's go and do this and that. These are all the things that we don't really understand. And we start developing blaming game. You blame your husband blames you. While you forget that where was the cause of the problem? You know, kids need to go to school, but going to school, they need other extracurricular activities to support their education. You need to sit down with your kids, do homework, ask them, know the units being taught in school, who are their friends, who are bullying them, check with them. We forget to know that this society here, it's not just a society like ours whereby people forget and just come home, relax, and people are watching us. We are being watched, not only us as Africans, but all over. You know, you can get reports from school reporting you or reporting the way your kids appear to social services. You get this report from the bus drivers. You can get the report from a store manager. You can get reports from a hotel manager. Everywhere. The only thing we forget to know that, okay, this is a new culture. How can you acculturate yourself and learn the good things that this culture offers you? Disregard the ones that you don't want. And also how you can incorporate your good African culture and values that your kids can follow and do. Your language, your traditional beliefs, your culture, your attires. How do you dress? How do you speak to people? How do you show the respect? How do you talk when there's a problem? Sometimes it's good to know that you can have differences with your spouse, but don't talk about them in front of the kids. Don't take negative about your spouse to your kids. Your problem with your spouse is your problems. It's not your kids' problems. Don't let them inherit them. We need to bring our kids in a way that we install in them the value of getting the education, because education in this country is the key to everything. We came here poor, but we don't want our kids to inherit our poor background. We want our kids to be people who are better than us, because us coming here, we are better than our parents. And then we want our kids to be better. We want their kids to be better, and that's how we develop ourselves. That's how we improve our life standard. We need to check. We need to keep posted, like with like our health. We do general checkups. Before even feeling sick, you need to go and check. You need to know what's going on. You need to listen to your kids, talk to them. When they come up with complaints, sit down and tell them, can you tell me what happened? And then also showing our kids that we can be honest. Lani, you cannot tell your kids, oh, mata amulu kida, while it is out to gamulu. then what kind of culture are you teaching them? If you don't listen to each other, how can your kid then listen to you? All this, we tend to forget, you know. We need to know that sometimes it is good to do other things to show our kids, like the African culture, the African way. But there are certain things that we don't want our kids to inherit, like beating, like even this qualifying the other gender. Oh, they mara sakit. Oh, they rajil sakit. They adapt tahum tarujal. They adapt tahum tanuswan. We don't want our kids to grow up having those things, Sejama. We need our kids to grow up to know that, okay, I'm a human being. My responsibilities are 1, 2, 3. I can be a girl, but I can do more. And I can be a boy, I can do more. What we need to teach our kids is to let our kids, like the Americans say, aim for the moon. If you fail, grab a star and come down. These are all the things that we need our kids to get. You know, I will not take much time because we are running out of time. I will give a chance to someone.
Rose. Thank you so much. This was profound. Yeah. Rose?
Yeah, that's a good question, Dora. You said, where have we gone wrong? And I hope, I don't want to say I wish, I hope all South Sudanese from now onwards will be asking, checking themselves out every time and then, like, you know, what have we done well? What have we not done well? So that we can shift around of a lot of the things that are not good, or a lot of the bad name that we have in diaspora. So one of the things as South Sudan's, like every day, this is as a leader in the community or community advocate and stuff, I do a lot and stuff, but most of the time you always get blamed. So people forget, like us South Sudanese, we forget that now we are in a foreign land, we are raising children in a different land. And for example, like my son was born here in Australia. During Refugee Day, like we always have festival in June for, you know, refugees all around the world and stuff. And one time it was 5, 7, 6 years, he was like, no, mom, I'm not going with you. I'm like, why? He's like, no, I'm not refugee like you guys. I'm Australian. And I'm like, damn it. Anyway, he's like, go with your other 2 boys and dad, you guys are refugees, not me. And I'm like, so he can't stay home by himself. But I had to sit down with him and explain to him, look, still you have that background in you. Too bad. Your parents, your mom, your brothers, everyone are refugees. Even those Australians and white people, they are coming to the festival. Doesn't mean that only people who are from that background are the one. And people who organize it are not even refugees. They are advocates. So this is something, but where have we gone wrong as South Sudanese? I always like to mention, and I know a lot of people, a lot of South Sudanese don't accept the truth, and they will always be like, it's not like that. And the South Sudanese, all of us assume we know it all. Now that, you know, fi ketir ma nyongore injiliz almonali mumin iyalde wele min chokol wele min wende gal kalas. Now mon barf iya haje zaid mo kaman kibra to mon jamo mo min itama barf kantas, you know. But they have, and also tough love. To tell you guys, Anazat have been one of that. I came with my lofraga time in Nako dan again dugu jama de lofraga lakati. Well, it biga kida 13, 14, go to La Fraga do Castle. Galima, we are not gonna do this again. Galima, Galino. Enough. And I have to change. The calamity adjustment there. I have to, like now, most of the time they put me down and talk to me about things that I do wrong, which I came to admit that I am human. I'm not perfect. And they hajat anata South Sudanese team where you find the gap, like parents up there, highway parents. And also, South Sudanese parents, they came here, Taban Gale, education is key to everything. You're educated, Kalas, you'll be richer. This is not the case with diaspora, Yama. We a lot of educated people who came were not able to fit in and do things. And even we have a lot of graduates now, my master, PhD mark, there is tackle mark, there, Amul, Tabanin. But they always, Taban, I think John, you said something, Gale, parenting, something from back home, it's just like an idea. Well, I will take it as that, not action, like full action. Because fi village, fi munu, iya zolga mulu ma fi zolgi al-muhim, ita best machine. Ma hawa, keda, cave, fi akil, ma fi akil, medersa, fi shakla, al-muhim life goes on survival, that's survival. But we are in diaspora where now we are at peace, stability with the lakin, anna listen to trauma. Our people don't know in the stigma tajad the galimafi. Mama janin gali trauma de kalasita zoli du muskila. We have a lot of problems. We can see from social media who hajat ketir. And even from our young people who iyam. So just to go on their list of things, Anna Kutu, just to summarize it quickly, the environment, Anna forgot then do challenges too. Anna again inherit challenges there. So that one is also a topic. If you want to ask me, I will tell you later. But it's like, they have their culture, they have their system, they have their laws, they have their expectations, they have everything. Anna best get the Duban Waga for asset, Maja bin Khabar. And then South Sudanese parents think, education in free, madrasa, school responsible le iyaltomon. Responsibility ta parent de, sibule school, ya sibule coach the sport, ya sibu for something. Busy with other things that they see important than their children. Mccalena mentioned literacy issues, which I will leave it there. Also, we have settlement challenges. Like me, I work in the settlement, and as an advocate and staff, there is a gap. There is a huge gap. Orientation amulana kawaja al hasamukta kawaja. Like in what we needed, we were not given information. Don't mention Kalam de Gal. If you don't ask, they will not tell you whether we have too much pride. I will just list it to cultural impact. Cultural impact, as South Sudanese, we have attitudes, and then the traditions, we will hajat ketir, who gaps. Culture, desert to feel yadeze kalamata, al jibu gali, le family breakup, who hajat ketir, because women came to realize they are taking responsibility too much than men. Nusuan the best geni. John Kalamtaki, I took my boys, we went back home. Zamanna Rija, people were asking them, what do you like about South Sudan, Juba? They're like, one thing? Men just sit and women do everything. They were so happy, Gale. Malabi someone di kasulu, kutulomon moya fi hamam, food ready, everything. All they have to do is mongora is to PlayStation when alabu. That's wrong, Jama. Those people are still backward. Why don't you educate men, you love privileges. Let me not go there. And then another thing is storytelling. We don't share our stories with our children. Like stories are now. Shalata case, Shala can kid it. Let us be honest with our children, Galia Jama. The survival. We did this because we have to come outside. Case the kid. Like, I'm so sad. I am one of the parents. My son came and asked me because he was going to be a professional basketballer and they need a story. Storytellers, He's like, Mom, why actually? Because before we argue with him, I was doing something for my business, sharing my story. Gali Kirana one is Gale, coming from poverty in Africa. Na shakil maula defi bidanguta poverty. I know majam in poverty, but they see Africa and our place through media. That is another thing that, you know, Anna kan ma wonu suma iyal de media gi influence kawajat kaman kawajat e jama kawajat ko esinu kabin Omo like no men do masla faje obe kara bumara white ziada. We need to kawaja friend yeah, but kawaja bado enemy. Male sumon bukun gas masedi. Modutane aje de role reversal. A lot of parents are magara shinude umon kutu mosulia ta ajet ketirle iyal the bills even gurush tala gurush min bank transferring money with that's how a lot of kids get dakalo fi ajata ijiran because mon kenga oh iyal de sutar oh iyal de yata kawajat wala iyal de ma gono surutan wele arabi wele ajed iyal de bes gono ingilizi iyal de kida de iyal taki ita ga mulmo ita wadi man la kawajat yala biga ita fikir gal sunu be hasil because ajata ijiramal hena de sijin sunu de it's resources like kawajat to gamul big man of course so they challenges alhena like the people alhena nendu land of Australian Aboriginal umon ma ba history to bad this is how they are incarcerated and yet kitira mulda kalumon fe ijiram amolde the same thing we are falling victims so the biggest one that really we fight here there are a lot of barriers like accessing to information, accessing to systematic barriers like hidden racism, a lot of things rooted, even issues that police there. Police can I know nasa yata na aswe to de umon be mistreated umon ga bis yalde le derja de maze kawaje treatment de masawa and nas maarufo even for schools ajet ketir gamole yalde nas maarufo I have been to many schools advocating and stuff, and I came to learn Gale. Iyatanna de bamol haja, parents kamani na gi cover up. Parents cover up for ajata sutura dana ma fi ajata nikita fi South Sudanese and ma jibumin when like we are honest people, we are straightforward, but not now. We like to gossip and we lie a lot. We do a lot of things. Yala, why do we expect Gali? Iyal de bitala yal kwesin jena de bukun educated jena de fi jena tana sada buto gata gasoran keda garajama eta mama garajama galo mali go opportunity de gali baba na jeni afi opportunity to study today you should we should be role models to our kids. And last but not least, I'm going to leave this to we touch on social media, but social media is a big one. Even Kawajat, professor in New Zealand, I'm only research. South Sudanese in on top. How we have been promoting war through social media. A lot of things that social media they get hassle when get hassle fi bed de iyalde kulufogo. This is not a safe environment for the kids. And then they learn from there. They think that life is it'll be shitimu, it'll be shakil. Even you lie, you do a lot. Because a lot of our kids lie. They will lie in your face, lie until tangible of faraga they died. But and last but not least, politics are not a South Sudan. And I mind Nitija too. But and a lot of people have lost children today because Abu had bees in the film Halta Nagin and the little African town. Nazagura Limi, Wala Shifta Selvakir, Wala Reak Mashar, Wala Alzato, Wala Fi Party, they will Buonu Sajid Kanu, Mombes Bra watch South Sudan TV. Then Umoniabiga reporters, you don't know they are reporters, they are experts, they are advocates, they are politicians, they are tribalists. Kulu ajadeni. Jama. Instead of them focusing on studying, improving their knowledge, in Kanmafi making money, Wilegamo Shunumafi. So Iyalde Guru shall go di besita Iyalde mismanagement afan. Yade examples within Jena medal samarat gira soluju about the nas marat gina the parents school mafi zol gura ode iyal lunch sakit danna de gishilu lunch in bed tabili go base ba molu esh ma peanut butter ma kemot kalas de kawaje der balanced diet mafi then mo bigenga kawaje don surin kawaje de maderanna kawaje de kida then I'm like jama Ka jibril kan say ga karahita kon mat umon jibril ta ko lesunu umon ya sign mon ya approve jibril ita ma jeni sa mbala saki zede ma zeta na be ta gidini process get it attack the system de. And there is reason why you are here. Fi settlement outcomes kawajat kutu kamsa lakin nasanna they don't know. Our people are so close-minded, they isolate themselves. Would they yell at the end of the thing? Now, like us here talking, they will come on just to meet about in social media for go. And then they will, when Jenna told go muskela ma police or something or you know they or be just blame it at leader de. When you community leader, there's a community leader them na dem agi shakal. One man gali zolde sacrifice nefsa to de zolde that into family to into gamol duty so de yala gi care for go ajeta na ze kulu. They will never go to meetings. They will never do a lot of things that is required here. Requirement are simple. The woman in the require someone there can fit like Mccalena can fit party. Will can fit meeting to politics. Will they have the Facebook? Oh, figure it out there. As I am at the clubhouse bay there. Guys, we need to change. We need to change. People need to heal from trauma. Thank you.
Thank you. We need part 2 of this. I see. We can't finish it in 2 hours. So thank you so much, Rose. Those were really important things you have mentioned. And that shows where we have gone wrong. But as you said, we have to talk also on what we have made right? We have to start from what is working well and how we can improve what's not working. So thank you so much. And now we move on to teenagers. You guys have mentioned the challenges, the freedom the teenagers get, but with freedom comes responsibility and consequences. And Dr. Akwa, you have 3 teenagers that you have raised up in the US. You have gone through the challenges, but you have also met you had some opportunities and you have some lessons that you have learned and you would love to share from us, share with us. And in regards with the profession as a medical doctor, how when a teenager, we know that when a teenager goes to a doctor and wants birth control or any health issues, we as parents do not have a say, how do we deal with that, being parents from the context that we come from? We know that we really want to know what our children are doing, and especially in regards to their sexual health and all this. We know that the healthcare system can actually withhold information. How do we as parents have to deal with this? And if you can really speak that also in Arabic Juba, or in Arabic generally, so that would be great. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Madam Dora, and to all the speakers for all the truth and the challenges that you have mentioned. I will switch to Arabic. إحنا هسه برا ما عندنا سيطرة في معلومات الطبية بتاعت عيالنا. الليلة مثلا العيال من ما يكونوا في عام يعني 7th grade لغاية 12 بيقوم يعلموهم عن الجنس، وده جزء بتاعت الكريكولم بتاعت المدارس. الطفل الليلة ممكن يمشي لدكتور وإنت كأم بيسألوك تقعدي برا، بالأخص لما يكون في عمر بتاعت مراهقة. ليه؟ لأنه بيسألوا هل أنت نشط جنسيا؟ Are you sexually active?
Yes.
you as the mother انت كأم انت بتقعدي برا وما بتكوني عارفة الحاصل شنو. في عادات والتقاليد بتاعنا طبعا الحياة هنا كانت مختلفة، لكن حسه الواقع شيء، يعني طريقة الحياة هنا براو مرة واحد كده رفع بجوبة عشان كده يكون سهل. جانا تاكي بقدر روح للدكتور، الدكتور باسرته انت قل لي ما بنية، انت قل لي ما ولد، اي خلاص انا داير دواء عشان كده انا ما حامل. انا حامل، انا عندي امراض بتاعت التناسلية مثلا جونوريا، سيفيليس، كله ده كلامايديا، كله فيه. انت كأم ما بوروك معلومات ده، لانه في حقوق تجنى، بالاخص في قانون طلع في كاليفورنيا في بعض المناطق الجنب بتاعك ممكن يمشي للدكتور، ممكن يعمل له وجهات في أي عمر، ممكن يعالجه لأمراض زي جونوريا، سيفلس ولا كلاميديا. الجنب بتاعك ممكن يمشي يسأل. طبعا إحنا هنا بقينا في مجتمع بقى فيه LGBT، طيب جاي، ليزبيان، ترانسجندر، ده كله فيه، وبقينا بنشوف الحاجات دي بقى فيه في المجتمع بتاعنا. الجنب ممكن يمشي يتكلم مع الدكتور، يسأل الحاجات دي كله، يتكلم عن المشاكل بتاعت مخدرات، إدمان بتاعت المريسة. الجنب بتاعك لو قاعد يشرب مريسة كتير ولا قاعد يستخدم مخدرات، انت كأم ما ممكن يوروك، انت ما عندك قوة عشان تعملي حاجة. فإحنا لازم نتعلم بعض، لازم نعلم بعض يا إخوانا. We have to educate ourselves. The reason being, I remember when I worked as a caseworker, I was doing healthy families. And during the sessions, we went and talked about what the kids do, birth control, and methods of prevention. I remember one of the mothers, she jumped up and she said, "De kalam farik. Mata jahli me yalten kalamat farik zed." إحنا قمنا سكتنا، لأنه you can give، أنت ممكن تقدم information، بس لو أنت بتقدر الزول بيستقبل الانفورميشن. لما هي قالت لنا زي ده قمنا سكتنا وخلينا. زمن مشى، بنت مرة جات حملت. The sad part of it. لأنه الواقع شيء والعادات والتقاليد اللي احنا مشينا فوقه شيء. أنا هقول لكم حاجة. أنا مع عيالي، أنا قعدتهم تحت، أصغر وحدي عمرها 12 سنة. أنا قعدتهم تحت، اتكلمت معاهم. What happens when you become sexually active? أنا كلمتهم قلت لهم يا عيالي، I have taken so much time to raise you up. Make the mistake of going out there and playing and coming back sick or coming back with a baby. Just remember, for every action, there is a reaction and a consequence. You become pregnant, my child, I can tell you from now, you are going to be responsible for that child. I, the grandmother, am not going to take care of that child. Watch out who you walk with. There are certain people in their culture, there are certain things acceptable, but in us, it's different. We even discussed the gay and the lesbian thing, and there was a heated discussion. My son said, this is an abomination. Some of my other kids, the two girls, said, oh, this is normal. I said, no, biblically it's wrong, and this is my opinion. But then, when you go to the schools, they are taught to make their own choice in gender. So just know, you parents in America, you can go to the doctor's office and you will not be given all the information. And I'm sure a lot of parents don't know that. Even I did not know that full information until very recently, that you have to keep teenagers, even though they say you, the parent, are responsible, because CPS will come after you. But when it comes to health issues, they will be concealed and you will not know about it. انت ما حتعرفي انه جنب بتاعك ادو دواء بتاعت من الحمل، انه جنب بتاعك ادو كوندومز، جنب بتاعك عالجه من امراض التناسليه. ما هيكلموك خالص no matter how young the child is. وحاجات اللي قاعد يحصل في مدارس is too much. خلينا نفتح عيوننا يا جماعه. لو في مرة بتاعت جيران ولا راجل شاف انه في حاجه غلط حاصل وجا كلمك، ما تنطي فوق، ما تقولي قال جناي ملاك. ما في جنا ملاك يا اخوانا. خلينا نرجع لايام زمان. انا بتذكر زمان في جوبا، لو في زول انا جاي انا عملت غلط وفي زول قاعد يدقني، زول تاني بيجي بيقول تعال تعال، تفتكر هيساعده؟ هيسألوك أنت عملت شنو؟ أو أنا عملت حاجة تقيلة أوب تاني بدقوك، لأنه it takes a whole village. إحنا كلنا بنشتغل كبعض. Let us learn the laws. Let us learn what is available. Let us learn the support system. الخواجات إحنا بنفتكر إنه كلهم فاكين، ما فاكين، لأنه أنت بتلقي في كنايس في ناس بيعملوا purity ring، لأنه بيقولوا إنه الليلة ده I am still going to remain pure لغاية ما يجي وقت المناسب. وده الحاجة اللي إحنا دايرين نعلمه لعيالنا، إنه يا إخواننا be responsible. Look at the teenage pregnancies اللي عندنا، gang affiliation اللي عندنا كتير كتير. عيالنا قاعدين يستخدموا مخدرات. أنا بتذكر مرة في حلة زي ما أختي جبيل قالت، أختي مكلينا، لما نجوا كلاجئين بسكنونا في أماكن تعبانة، مخدرات في كتير. ففي واحدة قالت لي يا أكوات في زول قاعد يجي هنا وقاعد يجي يبيع مخدرات. للأسف ده كان جنوبي، أولاد بتاعنا قاعدين يجي يبيعوا مخدرات ذاته لعيالنا التانيين ده. لما أنا قلت ليه ما كلمته، زول أسود بيجي ببيعه للجنوبيين التانيين ده، الجنوبيين ده بيوزعوا للناس التانيين. قال إيه أنا ما داير مشاكل. يا جماعة لو أنا قلت لكم من الجروب ده الليلة أكثر من 5 أسر اتدمرت، 2 بقوا مجانين من المخدرات. وأنا قلت لهم، مشيت سألت صاحبتي أمريكية، قلت لها what do you do in such a case؟ قالت لي you can call the police. الزول اللي قاعد يجيب مخدرات الأجنبي ده شوفوا العربية بتاعه شنو، هو منو، وبعدك أضرب تلفون، ما ضروري تقول اسمك، وقول في زول قاعد يجي هنا قاعد يوزع في مخدرات عشان to save our children. الليلة we have lost عيال بتاعنا، we have lost them. في عيال ماتوا، في عيال قتلوا، وده من المخدرات ده. فlet us not fear، ما نخاف. شكرا.
Thank you so much, Dr. Akwa. That was really great from your insight as a medical doctor and as a parent as well, because we really have so much responsibility on raising our children, but again, on understanding the consequences of the choices that they make, and especially in regards to this sexual education, because of the taboo and stigma, because it's not in our culture that we talk as parents with our children, about sexual education on what happens when you're a teenager and stuff, not knowing that they get so much information from the social media, from their schools, from their friends. So we really need to break that hindrance of us communicating openly with our children in regards to these topics. So just if you have any comment to what Dr. Akwa has said, please, you are welcome. But then before we go to our recommendations, because we don't really have that much time, and we have so much comments also from the audience that I would like to pick some of them. So I'll ask you, John, just to comment on what Dr. Akwati has just said, if you have anything to say, and then we go.
Now, it is quite moving. Comparing with where I live and in a little village, I would say, in a small village in Norway, and although I work in a big city, but living in a small village, the comparison is very, very, is not close at all to the description actually what is saying. We understand that there is a lot of issues that have been. One is that the system is built in a manner that a child has its own rights, and at a certain age, at a sexually active age, a child has to get the health information that the child requires, and that would be a challenge for a parent to disconnect himself from a child as a citizen, because the concept here is now the child is considered as a citizen and has its own rights away from what a parent is. So that's the beginning of splitting a child being dependent from the parent and having his own life. And that becomes very difficult for a parent to play that role as the guidance. It cannot guide a child when you don't have information, full information, and you cannot direct a child or discipline a child if you lack information completely. And even here in Norway, this is still a problem that you have to become so open and develop a relationship with a child so early that when they become at the age of teenage, they're free, able to speak with you on their sexuality, on their own. Then that openness is where you would be able to get information what the child has shared with a doctor or with a nurse at school. All these things will come to you indirectly, but through a dialogue and a relationship that you build with your child. So different from where you feel that as a parent I have a right to know. It is not an issue anymore of right, because you're cut out, you don't have any right anymore, but it is the consent of the child if the child chooses to share with you. So this is where the sticking point that makes it extremely difficult for parenting in this situation. When it comes to these issues of drugs and all that, it comes in a very subtle ways. In where your communities where you describe this, actually that is very open and easy to do something about it. It's quite easy to get the number of the car and ring the police, and you just need the courage to do it. But in Norway, we understand that even the children at the age of 13 can be peddlers within the school, giving children the drugs to. They will be the ones say, distributing them for tasting, while the big guys who are actually doing the supply are behind. So find a 13-year-old in a school can come with some drugs and share with them, try this and taste this and test this until they get hooked. Then they communicate to the real seller where the child can be able to get it. So that makes it more complicated, because when it happens between a child and a child, it gets very difficult for you to even know it. When it happened, where is it, at school? And unless you are develop very close relations with the child, you talk openly about drugs, about sexuality, about this, then the child can be able to tell you anything, knowing that you're not going to react like the way our parents would react at home. That you say, yeah, well, that is okay, I understand. These things are there. Then you get into the facts, you start discussing the issue, and the child feeling you never judge, you never reprimand or accuse or attack in any form. That gives you the open canal for you to know the child. You are now vulnerable as a parent. You are more vulnerable in access of information, and therefore you have to lay low, very low, in order to get the relationship with the child to be open with you. That's the only way you can influence it. So it is very intricate. It varies from country to country. Like in Norway, especially in the small places like we are doing, it comes in schools and things like that indirectly. And the school authority even doesn't know. The kids are so smart in distributing some drugs and all. You will never know it at all until they only hook. Then you know, oh, what happened? It's almost getting late. So that's what I just wanted to comment in the context of Norway.
Thank you so much, Nado. I'll jump to you, Ross, and then you also can prepare your final recommendations and way forward until we meet again for the next discussion, because it's a lot to take. Yeah, Ross.
Okay. I want to say, like, in regard to Australia, it's similar. Before, like, these LGBT issues were not that because it was not put in the law, but I think over the last couple of years it's been put in law. And I was one of the lucky leaders, I would say. I went to conference and they asked me, like, Rose, what do you think? Because they are going to teach these things in the schools and stuff. I didn't know what to say or answer. Like, there were questions when forum I kept quiet and they're like, Rose, can you say something? I'm like, this is new for us. Let me take it in. I'm not able to talk on this issue. It's very sensitive at the moment. And we need to have it as a topic and talk about. And in regard to drugs, also, yeah, in school, even I had as primary, and like you talk, Dr. Akwa, a lot of parents have no idea that their kids are taking drugs. They don't know the signs and the symptoms. So there is need for education, and also for our people. I talk about the trauma. Just in conclusion, like there is a lot of work need to happen in healing, and also we are not perfect. We like, and parenting is, for me, is a learning lesson, and I want all parents to just sit down, provide a safe space for their children at home to speak to them and listen. Like, they have a lot to tell you how you have failed them. They will tell you, like, even the younger ones, what they are not, but we don't give them that opportunity, and they're so scared. That's why they go for people outside for help. And in regard to that sexuality thing and stuff, I took my son when he was 11. I was shocked, but yeah, the doctor allowed me to come in, and he was asking him, "Oh, do you masturbate, blah blah?" And I was like, what's going on? Being a woman, I didn't know that it happened to boys 10 years or 9 years or 11, but yeah, that's the reality. And last but not least, I just want to say, like, all parents need to be accountable, and let us stop the blame game. Even our young people are blaming parents. We are blaming young people. We are blaming system. Let us stop it, guys. Let us look into the real issue and problem and try to work it together. Let us collaborate and, narrow the gap. And also, mistakes will happen. Young people, they're still growing. Let us allow them to make mistakes, but also let us be there, like, as their support. Let us be supportive of them, and just encourage them, and have that hope that, change will come and they will do well and better. And it doesn't have to be that they're highly educated. If they're in trades, or they're in sports, or they're doing modeling, it's also money. It's something that, they're doing. Let us be proud of their talents, of their achievements. And I want to conclude finally, Dora, that, we see, the media, for us in Australia, what the media portray is politics. It's politics. There are two parties, and the other party are the one bringing immigrants and refugees and black people and stuff. And the other, the mainstream media, they don't like that. That's why they are doing like. And even I thought it was only South Sudanese kids who are the worst, but it turned out all immigrants are in jail doing the same thing. But what you see is South Sudanese kids. And with that is like 5% or something. We have very successful young people that are not brought in the media, and this is all our job, to start praising them, appreciating them, and recognizing them and acknowledging them. So we have a lot of engineers, doctors, and so on. We have a lot. Even my boys are working to do a company and invest back in Juba and help people there. So we need to encourage also our children to go back and support. Like how we support, we also ask them to send money. My boys send money to their grandma, uncles sometimes if they have. So that's it, guys, from me. Thank you very much. It's an honor once again.
Thank you so much, Rose. Michelina, your final remarks moving forward.
I wanted to say it's not only the issue of drugs and other things that are happening. We need also to talk to our kids about their bodies. Who can touch you and who cannot touch you, and when. This is a huge another topic that we can come to, like for part 2 or whatever you can plan. Those sensitive things, we need also to talk to our kids. There are a lot of rape cases in our communities, and people are covering up, especially parents. They cover up, and it is not good. Your kid should be your friend and should feel comfortable sharing with you who touched them and how and when. If they can reach to that extent, I think we'll build a good future. The other thing also I wanted to touch on, Rose mentioned, there are a lot of successful South Sudanese abroad. We need to take pride. We need to see them as role models to our kids and say, if you want to be successful, look at so and so. There is nothing wrong with you. You can get what you want. Work hard and discipline yourself. This kind of talk with your kids will really inspire them, you know. For me, as a parent, I see my job is for me to prepare my kids for a real life out there. Because when they reach that time, I won't be there for them. I need to prepare them to face the real life, the experience they are going to get, the way they are going to design to live their life. I have to prepare them based on a realistic thinking and realistic way of like saying, okay, you want to get it? What needs to be done for you to get it? 1, 2, 3. You know, I have to remain calm and also set boundaries with the kids and hold them accountable when they did something wrong. I don't need to say, oh, I need to hold them accountable. When it comes to technology, I installed like monitoring apps to help ensure that nothing getting out there, out of hands. I have to make them really feel like they have someone who is not telling them what to do all the time, but someone who is guiding them. I need also to give them space because I don't need to be there all the time. There are sometimes that they need to take care of themselves. They need to feel like, oh, okay, mommy said this and she's not here, I can do it. All these expectations need to be brought out and laid down for them. And then it's up to them. Like also Americans will say, you can take a horse to a river, but you cannot force it to drink water. Lay everything out there for the kids and tell them what you feel and what you think and let them choose based on the guidance. Of course, also acknowledging the way I was brought up is different from the way I'm bringing them up. Yeah. So thank you so much for giving us this space to share the little experience we have. And it's up to our public there, the diaspora community, or even people back at home to either take it or leave it. So it's just put on the table. So you do your job of choosing what you want to choose from our discussion today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Michelina. I myself, moderating here, I've learned a lot from you. So thank you so much. Dominic, your final remarks and way forward.
شكرا كثير. وقت كلاس روس يونسو هو كان حق قصة بتاع لفراغة يال بتاع مش هدسة لفراغة في ورا بيت. فأنا كنت قاعد أنا قلت لها أيوة مو دسوا لك ساكت والله كسروا لك كمان. أنت شوف الرجالة ده كيف. والله أنا استفدت كثير يعني. Thank you so very much guys. and يعني في حاجات بس خليني تاج فوقه بيس نعقب فوقه بسيط كده بعد ذاك. انت عارف التربية هي طبعا احنا عارفين it is a very challenging thing. A lot of people have really talked about these things and I tend to agree with it. لكن في بعض من الحاجات بيخلينا انه نغير افكار بتاعنا في التعامل مع اشياء. One of the things is that انه الاماكن اللي احنا جينا فوق ده في لها تحديات بتاعه. يعني بعد ذاك افترض يعني انت تزرع في جناك ولا في بيتك الاسباب اللي جابوه برا ذاته دي شنو؟ الاغراض. انت جيت برا هنا ليه يعني؟ وانا كنت حضرت واحد من الكونفرنسز ده. الناس الكبار بيلوموا ابوهات وامين عيال بيلوموا ابوهات بيلوموا عيالهم And we to English bitakum al-Qab, you don't even understand us. You call committee a committee, and you don't even understand what you guys are saying. And you are so stressy, you are so demanding, you are so pushy. And in most of the time, akula asida, and those kind of things. I think there is a need in which you have to strike that balance, where you have to tell your kids that you are here as a purpose. If you are not here, you will be a cattle rustler. And by now you would have been a dead meat. So sometimes we have to talk with our children like this. I know in the Western world, the challenges are very different. My late uncle, the late Father Hilary Boma, used to tell us that, you are in Juba. This was the first time we came into Khartoum. You see, Juba, you mastered Juba, but the challenges in Khartoum is a little bit different. And when you go outside, that challenge is going to be another different challenge. So now that we have to come to the Western world, I tell you the challenges are very different. If you don't bring up your child in the home, the street will administrate him. The street has their own teachers. Lest you teach your children the values of the truth of knowing what God is. In most of the countries that we are living in the West, a lot of people are atheist. Namananas alzol hina kenisa gulana zato, I don't know, I'm not a Christian. But of course to them that is the case. So we need to teach our children the purposes of why they are here. And we need to dialogue with them, like you said. What do you want it to be in the future? What do you want it to achieve? And complete and compare and contrast with them. Of course, you link them with their cousins and uncles. Not to tell, this is where I differ a little bit by Sister Vetraekla. You see, those people who are there, they are not backward. It is only that our situations demands of that. When I was in Juba with my wife, I don't wash my clothes because they are doing it. I don't sweep because there's already people in the house. But when I am here, I don't have to think. And this is one thing as men we need to change. We sit on the couch watching Arsenals, and we say this is our teams. And we started talking politics. For those in politics, we are very good at it. You can talk politics back alas. Yes, politics is good. And I know why people talk politics, because the situation that people have been subjected into is so demanding. Somebody like me, Dominic, I can't go to Juba. You see, the far I can go is either Uganda or Nairobi, and that is still not my country. It has got nothing to not very much difference than being, for example, here in Europe, hovering between Germany, Belgium, and the Netherlands and maybe Norway. I'm going to come to Troenham. You see, that is it. So, for example, issues between girls and Nigeria, you people, mothers, you know it very well. And how people were being taught when we were young. There are certain things that are told to you as a taboo, but you get to learn it. Because like you say, Mafi school, Mafi madrasa tataeso. This is where the street will teach you. I like to conclude with this. Where I am, drugs and sexual things no bita zamanda fifi batrinat hadili kida fi mahali ismu red light district and also blue light district. Now whether you like it or not, itabitamshi the team agarat bitakina, and there are coffee shops where you go and buy drugs and Nigeria. But does it mean that all these children in the Holland here are drugs chewers? Do they chew drugs? No, they don't. So there is a sense in which values has to be inculcated into them. Al-Haja Tani went to Kalam to Fogo Yaugisa Beta Media. You see, the 1% of some of the things that are happening in the media is correct. And you don't have to live your life on the playbook of others. Because most of the time we are competing. I need my child also to be like that. No. This is where the problem is. And we have to listen to our children and tell them, yeah, Jama, what is it? I mean, Hassa, what I am learning is not because in every school there is this doctor's things. First of all, they will say, you don't have to eat sweet. Because if you started eating sweet, it will be big. Once you are big, you will get insulin. Children don't want it to be pierced by a needle. Call it prick. They don't want pricks here. So what do you have to do? You have to play. You have to play. You have to do a lot of exercises, and you have to send the children also out to go and play. And as much as you wanted to do that, but you were also afraid. So sometimes I wanted them to experience whatever they wanted. إذا هم كان في بلد كانوا بيركبوا في شجرة بيمشي بدقوا طيور زي إننا كنا قاعدين نعمل بتاع ده زمان, لكن هنا these things are not there. What are going to do? And mothers will like to babysit our children. Madi says, you are too much, afraid of children. Kalima dugu. You wanted to babysit their children, even Al-Kabir. This, I know that's your child, my dear. But with some few guidance. Yeah, but even outside here, not everybody is supposed to tell you what to do. You have to refine what you wanted to do for it. At the end of the day, that is your child. So thank you very much, because your time is off. I don't have to take it too much than that. But otherwise, I wanted to thank you so very much for giving us this opportunity to put our little experiences in these discussions. Maybe we have done justice to it. Maybe we don't know justice if our tongues of sleep. إذا كلامنا بس لفت كده ما كنا ما قاصدين زول, لأنه إحنا دارين نوصل المعلومة وإحنا بنعتذر مقدما يعني. شكرا.
Thank you so much, Dominic. Keep the rest for the part 2. I know there's a lot you guys have swallowed in, but keep it for the part 2. We're coming back. Final remarks, John Ladu, and then Dr. Akwat. Please. You're on mute.
Yeah, thank you. I'm quite pleased that we got to wrestle this elephant, which is not able to be put down so easily. But at least if we have injured the legs and it is about to bow down, then we take it in part 2, can wrestle it, maybe lie it down. It is a big topic. It's a very sensitive issue. It's so complex. There is no playbook for it. But we all do the best we can from our own different perspective as parents. And so far, I believe that those who listen have drawn some lessons from whatever you say. It doesn't matter whatever it matches with your thinking, your own opinion. But the most important thing that we digest the whole issue and so as open as we can. And that we who are in diaspora have our own different challenges that probably does not match with what is at home. And if some of you have tips, also can still play. The forum is open. Next time when we meet in part 2, I believe that there will be more comments, more questions, and more directed to us that we can be able to see things related to our children, because most of the time we see things differently. Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? There is a lot of help of questions, but very little comments to understand what we are facing. I believe those who are watching, it is no more questions, but come with tips and guidance to all those who are in diaspora who are facing these challenges. And you can also contribute, no matter what it is. Everybody has something to play here. As I could say, it takes a village to raise a child. And therefore, through your own participation too, whether it is in the social media or any other canal, you can still impact or contribute to this topic and make sure that we who are outside can benefit also from your own. That's my reference to people at home. Thank you.
Thank you so much, John Lado. Dr. Akwat?
Thank you very much, Dora. If you can mute your mics, please, Ms. Rose and Mr. John, that would be helping, because it's echoing. I would like to thank South Sudanese women for bringing up this big elephant, as we have said. It's a tough topic, and I'm sure we'll have another part 2. As I conclude, being a parent is challenging. There is no manual that we can follow. Big kids, big problems. Teenagers are a different breed. Emotional roller coasters with their raging hormones. And I think we have all experienced that. Mental health is a challenge that our kids face. And even us, we face as parents because we are a traumatized community. We have gone through a lot. Some of you might have heard about the young man who was killed in Canada because he had mental health by the police. We need to teach, and because of that, I extend my condolences to the family of the late who are in Canada. Police brutality is true, and we need to teach that to our parents. When my son goes out, I tell him how to behave when he's met by the police, what to say, even the way they dress, because I told them that there are stereotypes out there. So always try to dress up in a way that will not reflect problems for you or bring problems to you. In terms of opportunities, we need to teach our children that America is a land of dreams, where dreams come true and can be fulfilled. Let us all tap on the resources that are available out there, the scholarships. I remember the other time, Dave Ramsey, the financial guru, was talking on the TV, how a young girl from the age of, from the grade 11, who were Tania Ali, she started applying for scholarships. And I can tell you that when my first daughter went to university, I was so ignorant. The second one came, I asked for help through a relative, and she was able to get some scholarships. But this young lady every day would come and sit and look for scholarships. She ended up with over 2 million scholarships, and she maintained a GPA of 4.56, because from a very young age, she kept on being as an A honor or an A student, as you would call it. We need to encourage our kids that the sky is the limit. We need to encourage our kids to work hard. What Mr. Dominic had said earlier, from a very young age, our kids, even when they become older, they don't know what they want. But we, when we grew up in tough times, we knew what we wanted to be. We knew how we could navigate the system and be what we are. My aunt was telling me that from a very young age, at the age of 4, I had said I wanted to be a doctor, and that's how I became a doctor. Let us instill in our kids that nothing is easy. They should not give up. They should try to work hard. Sometimes I have seen it in my kids. They don't want anything that is hard. They will say, oh, this is so hard. I don't want it. I want something easy. Life is not easy. As a community, our kids come first. And we have to go with the saying that charity begins at home. We have to take care of our kids before we go and take care of the community or stand with political issues or politics as such. We need to spend time with them. We need to ask for help. We need mentorship because we don't know a lot, either from people in our community, the successful ones. We need to be curious and ask, how can we be successful? How did you get there? What did you do? What can I do to better myself? Let us leave pride alone. Anybody in the community you can get information from. If most of you have noticed, our kids don't go to our occasions. إيالنا ما قاعدين يمشوا في مناسبات بتاعنا لأنه our programs are so boring. They are so long. إحنا هنعمل شنو؟ إحنا لازم نخلي مناسبات بتاعنا، نخلي عيالنا يكون عندهم دور اللي هم ممكن يلعبوا فوقه، وفي نفس الوقت نخليه يكون قصير ويكون في اللغة اللي هم بيفهموا، لأنه لما هم يجوا ما بيفهموا حاجة خالص. إيانا هيتلاقوا كيف يا جماعة؟ We have to be intentional. I, as a mother with 3 girls, I want my girls to be married to Sudanese, to South Sudanese. I would love to give them to choose, to have a choice. The reason being that they will know who these people are. They will know the culture. I don't want my daughter to enter a relationship where it's just a visa relationship. And we have seen that happening. There are a lot of foreigners who come to this country without any visas, and they are just hunting our kids for the visas. We have to be careful. We have to think. The other day, when I was discussing this topic, somebody said in the Arab community, they make it a point where families meet. And then when families meet, the kids also meet. And if they fall in love, that is a plus to me. That's how I look at it. Because at least I know who Dominic is, I know who Dora is, and I know that they will treat my child right. It takes a village to raise a child. Let us not forget that. Let us all work together as one big family, as one big community. I need you and you need me. Raising a child is so hard. It's so hard, I can tell you. Being as grown up as I am in my 50s, I cry sometimes. My kids think that I have eyes behind my back because I'm vigilant all the time. I try my level best, but my level best is not good. But if I have my sister and my brother who come and step in, we can do it. We can do it. It's not easy, but above all, God is the one that helps us and guides us. Because I always tell my kids that if it's not because of God, I will not be able to be where I am or do what I can do. Because I am a nobody. I don't have the strength. I cannot claim the glory of what I do. But I learn also from people who have Christ in them. So thank you for this great opportunity. May God bless all of you. And may we raise these kids to one day become leaders, just like Obama. Who knows? Maybe one day a South Sudanese will be like Obama. Thank you.
Wow, what a beautiful conclusion. I won't spoil the beautiful conclusion, and I'll just say thank you all for your perspectives, your insights. It's been really enriching listening to you, listening to the different insights. And I've learned a lot as a parent myself, a parent of 2 children born in Norway, and I've raised them here in a different context than where I was raised up in. The challenges you have mentioned, I've also met them, and I'm also working, doing my best. And not all, as you said, Akwa, it's not always the best, but I try as much as I can. So thank you so much. We definitely need a part 2 and a part 3 of this. There are lots of comments that came in the Facebook forum. So you guys go there, and if you can comment on them, do that. But we'll be able to take them in the later discussion of part 2. So thank you so much. And thank you, Aisha, for being in the background supporting us. Thank you so much. Thank you to our sponsors, our partners, the UN Women in Juba. Thank you so much, everyone. So have a blessed weekend and see you again soon. Thank you.